About this one right here.
Yeah, I'm a slow reader, and I don't have the time to read 1,000 pages of something to find out something about Tiberi. And there are other congressmen and senators that I would like that information. Is there a website or somewhere I can go to find information like this? You have on your website, is there anything that will document what he's saying?
Let me get back to you on that. Yes, is the short answer. We need to provide, and can we get it to talk?
Thomas.gov, you can get the information from.
Yeah, there's a congressional website, but we can give you more information just than that on how to track down what you're looking for. And this is to try to get, Chris, the information that members spend their offices through a website. And I know it's the Thomas website, but if we can let Tom and Art know the easiest way to get to what he's trying to get to, because it can take you some time. So if we can help you do that process, we will. Can we do 2 more questions?
Sure. Mike Schultz, I'm from Pleasantville. And you were talking about the value-added tax. And what is it going to take to get everybody in D.C. to realize that they need to be more fiscally responsible? Because, as we all know, it's disposable income that drives the economy, not taxation and not D.C. The more they suck, the less we have to spend. So what's going to take to get them to their fixed stuff? And number 2, what's it going to take to get them to realize that that's our money they're spending? Not the federal government has no money, it's ours.
Well, let me tell you, it's a hell of a lot easier for you to spend Tom's money than to spend your own money, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem we have in Washington, D.C. The system is set up to spend. Whatever government you talk about, whether it's county government, whether it's state government, whether it's federal government, the system is set up to spend. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. And you probably have heard this before. The bad part of the stimulus bill wasn't just the stimulus bill. It was the fact that most of it, not all of it, but most of it went to government agencies. And it boosted their spending for the year. So guess what? The next year, it doesn't start over from where it was. It starts over from where it is. And so if you increase the Department of Justice by 20% in 1 year, and in the following year they only do it 1%, that's still 21% 2 years. It's still a huge increase. It doesn't go away. It's built into the baseline. And that's the Washington term, the baseline. And so that's why in the 90s, when some Democrats argued when the Republicans closed the government down and they got to that balanced budget for that year, that, Republicans are throwing people into the street, that people are going to go hungry because they're cutting. They were just cutting that growth. It was still growing. It was just growing at 1%, 2%, not at 7%, 8%, 9%. And we've had growth in the last 2 budgets, the Obama budget of last year and the one of this year, that is out of this world. And so, I got to tell you, for how bad the Republicans were, to what this guy said, these guys have tripled down. They have tripled down. And what they will say is, well, we've got to spend all this money because of the mess George Bush made. Well, you know what? In the last year that Republicans controlled Congress, and Bush was in the White House, 2006, we had a deficit, again, of $165 billion. Way too much. We will not see that again in the next 12 years, unless something drastically changes. Because they're going to average $1 trillion a year. $165 billion, $1 trillion a year. So that's a significant change. And I think, again, if Americans, whether it's earmark reform, the earmark process, taxation, spending, I think most Americans, not all, 47% of Americans today pay no federal income tax. There are my Democrat colleagues who'd like to see that at 60. Because if they see that at 60, that's a permanent Democrat majority. Because that means dependency on them. Dependency on the federal government. This is a huge fight. And I know there's a lot of you who think I'm nuts and I shouldn't be in Congress, and that's fine. You're entitled to that. My wife and 4 kids would like me not to be in Congress either. They'd like me to be home more. But I do this for them. I do this for my 4 little girls, whom I promised my wife I would get home and put to bed tonight, 3 of whom's bedtime is coming quickly, because I am frightened about their future. Not my future, I can take care of myself, but their future when they're my age. And I think that is at risk. That's why I do this. Can we take one more question? Let me give you my view of it. And I'm certainly far from the Chinese expert in the room or in the country. I worry about China. China is not afraid of us. China is not afraid of anybody, except one thing. They're afraid of their own people. Here's what I mean by that. They are afraid of social unrest within their country. And we've seen it over and over again with any sort of uprising, Tiananmen Square. What the Chinese government has brilliantly done is they have had growth in their economy, substantial growth in their economy, to keep their people busy and just providing them enough. And they've been doing that at our expense, quite frankly. And their growth has to be about 7 to 8% a year to continue keeping people in line and doing what they're doing and giving them a little bit more. If that stops, they have a huge internal problem within their country, something that they fear more than anything else. So while we are dependent on them, they are dependent on us. And that's the only thing that we got going for us right now, is our economy is such that we buy so much from them. And they need us, just like we need them. And unfortunately, we've never been in this position where we need them as much as we do now. That's why, going back to what this gentleman said, we have got to get our fiscal house in order. It is not beyond happening. It's not beyond happening. We can do it. Tough choices need to be made. And by the way, let me give you an example of what I mean by tough choices. I go to Washington every week. Every week, I have people from Westerville and Columbus and Delaware and Granville and Dublin come in my office, and they're not saying, hey, cut this program. They're saying, will you support an increase in this program? Will you support an increase in this program? Will you support an increase in that program? Why don't you do this earmark? Because it's going to go somewhere. And I say, you know what? It's because of these little girls. Because somebody's got to pay the piper at some point in time. And we're spending money we don't have. Worse than ever. Now, can we take it back? I think we can. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be gone every night from my family if I didn't think there was hope to change it. And one day I might say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. But I think the stakes are too high. I think we can get there. I think there is an ability to turn it around. But the question with respect to China is, every day it gets worse, and we've got to stop it. With China. Thank you all. If nothing else, if George Soros and MoveOn.org and Accountability America and the SEIU and Andy Stern coming after me don't motivate you in some small way, I don't think anything else will. So I hope that you'll consider helping me in the fall. Thanks so much.